Hey YouTube, Big Guy Auto. We're going to be doing the 2015 Chevy Silverado brake job. And the reason why I'm posting another brake job is actually because I have now a makeshift phone mount that I'm hoping will get better footage of the actual job and actually show you how to do it instead of, oh, I'll do this, and then off screen you don't get to see what's going on. So hopefully this will be a little better. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And let's get to it. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see. Try to get a good angle of it. There are grooves in this rotor. Oh, there we go. That's a good angle. Okay, so a little hard to see on the camera, but you can see these grooves in the rotor. And anytime your rotor is grooved like that, it's very hard to resurface it and do what they call turning the rotors. So we're going to recommend new rotors for this truck, just because by the time you cut those grooves out, it's going to be too thin by state law to actually drive on the road. So we're gonna get at it. Okay, so we got 19mm bolts holding this caliper on. So we're gonna get that loose. All right, got those out. Okay, get your pry bar. And as I said in our fuel pump video, 2 hands, one to support the caliper. Just pop that out. And then set it up here out of your way. Now we're going to go after these 18mm bolts that hold your bracket on. And these actually have a lot of Loctite on them and can be tight coming all the way out. Okay, 1/2-inch ratchet, a little heavier duty, go after these bolts. That one broke loose. Get this one. And because of that Loctite, it's going to take a while to get this out. If you got a power tool that you can get in there, I already got it up in the air, so my wheels are locked. But if you can turn this out so you can get on these bolts, you can actually use an air impact and take them out that way too. See all that stuff? That's your Loctite there. And that helps it from backing out, but boy, it does make it a lot harder to get these suckers out. Okay, so the complaint is that there's pulsation while they're driving. Okay, and that's because of these grooves that you can kind of see right there. And once they're grooved like that, it's very hard to resurface, as I said earlier. It makes it a much more difficult job. Okay, so we got our caliper off, our bracket off. Now we have to get the rotor off. Now, don't just go start smacking this thing, because on a lot of your trucks, they have these little things. Torx bit screws that hold them on nice and tight. So we get that out. And then, if they're stuck, we take a hammer and beat them. All right, so we got a T30 Torx bit, fits right in there. And take it right on out. Okay. And then rotor's already loose, so we can take it on off. We've got the new rotor in. One thing a lot of people always forget, don't forget your little screw that goes back in there. It does line up with a groove. Sometimes these rotors have multiple holes, and then others just have one, but whichever one you get, tighten her up. Okay, good to go. And like always, these always have oil on them from the shelf, because hey, they don't want them to rust while they're waiting to sell them. But if you don't clean this off, your brakes will smell, they'll smoke, and a lot of times squeak. So get you some brake cleaner. And wipe it down. Okay, now we'll start reassembling. We need to press this caliper in, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, to press this in, take your old brake pad, line up there, and then you're gonna get a C-clamp. And you're just gonna squeeze this in.
Sometimes I slip off because now you've broken this missing piece right here.
All right, so they're pressed all the way in, and so now we can release this. Hey, one thing I want to point out, he does have quite a bit of brake pad left. He was complaining about a pulsation issue, and basically those warped areas we showed you on the old rotor is what's causing that. And don't know if the camera will pick it up. No, doesn't look like it's going to, but there's grooves on this pad from where that rotor was warped, and you need to replace these so it doesn't do it to your new rotor. So we'll continue getting this together. Now, most brake pads come with new hardware. Typically, because the new stuff always fits so much tighter and it's much harder, I always inspect it, and this hardware still looks pretty good. So we're going to reuse it, put it back together. Okay, got that one started. This Loctite won't be nearly as bad putting it back on, but sometimes it can cause an issue. Okay, so you want these to be pretty tight, so go ahead and give it a good tug. Okay, so this is actually the first brake job that I've been able to show you where there's actually a difference between the two pads. Okay, typically with trucks especially, they will have a pad that goes on the back and the pad that goes on the front of your bracket here. Okay, typically, just a rule of thumb, the one with the wear indicator goes on the back, and also the one that's bigger, wider, goes on the back. Then the other one will fit. Now, I'm gonna have to take you off the mount here. Okay, so you can see this groove goes right along with the bracket, and this is the one that has to go on the front. The other pad won't go on there, so it's kind of dummy proof. You can't put it on backwards, but they do make brake pads for different types of trucks that can go on backwards, so make sure you're paying attention, because some models you can put on wrong. Okay, another thing, check these caliper pins, make sure they're moving freely. If they're a little stiff, and be sure to check both of them. There we go. Oops. These caliper pins, make sure they're moving freely. If they're not, you need to get them out, grease them up, clean them off and grease them up, and so that they're moving freely, don't cause any issues down the road. This truck's not old enough to really have that problem, but something to keep in mind. Now, sometimes you gotta press these in to get it to slide over. Okay, so that's pretty much a brake job. We'll do the same to the other side. I'm not going to bore you with you watching me do the same thing, and then we'll get it back together. Okay, before you take off, don't forget to pump up your brakes. They should stiffen up just like that. You don't want to go down any further. Okay, so we're going on this test drive in the Silverado to make sure the pulsation has gone away. And a couple things about this pulsation issue is if you are feeling a vibration, pulsation, or a kind of a jerking motion only when you are braking, typically that is your rotors. They're warped due from heat while driving or something along those lines. And typically it is your rotors causing the issue. At low speeds, if you feel the pulsation, normally that's your front brakes and rotors. And at high speeds, if you feel vibration, typically that's your rear. That's not 100%. You don't want to, put that into law, but it is a good indicator on where you need to start. And so we are testing this out, and I'm getting ready to come up. And typically what I like to do is get about around 50 miles per hour and give it a shot, see if it brakes good. And we're getting up there and waiting for a good straight stretch here to do it. And all right, here we go. Getting ready to do it. See? Boom. Ah, pretty smooth. Doing pretty good. All right. So, guys, that's how you do these brake jobs. Let me know what you think about that homemade camera rack, because I used it in another video too for the alternator on the Ford Expedition, and it seemed to work pretty good. Let me know what you guys think. I will eventually invest in a better one. I'm just trying to find one I would like to use on cars, because they got all kinds out there, but most of them are to set up on a desk or something, and I want one that's kind of probably magnetized or that you can hang or something along those lines. And finding one I like that I'm willing to pay for has been a little fun. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thank you. God bless. Stay safe.